we're back here again with some more Warhammer 40k. This time we're gonna change it up a little bit. We're gonna check out Luetin09. He has a video that caught my attention called the Space Marine creation and recruitment. It's the whole process, and I'm like, because we've seen the ritual, the Armorine ritual in China. It's like, ah, that was amazing, but how they're actually made and recruited, like I watched the whole process of it. So other than that, I'm excited to dive into this. Make sure you like and subscribe. Sit back, let's go. Luetin. In the grim darkness of the far audio? Some copyright?
My finest warrior.
Oh, so there's audio. Alright.
They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give themselves to me. Like clay I shall mould them, and in the furnace of war I shall forge them. They shall be of iron will and steely sinew. In great armour I shall clad them, and with the mightiest weapons they shall be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease, no sickness shall blight them. They shall have such tactics, strategies and machines that no foe will best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are the defenders of humanity. They are my Space Marines. And they shall know no fear.
The Emperor of Mankind, eh?
Space Marines are humanity's most elite fighting force. They're the defenders of civilization, but their immense power is forged through a harsh selection process, extreme genetic and body modifications. This grueling transformation kills many recruits, and those who do survive it are left arguably barely human. The conversion from weak mortal to demi-godlike superhuman is one gifted to only a tiny amount of humans in the 41st millennium.
Of course.
And Astartes, when his transformation is complete, will be stronger, tougher, mentally more powerful by factors than an ordinary human. And while a Space Marine's prime mission is to protect humanity, their physical disparity from ordinary common humans can actually leave many Astartes to look down on these lesser common humans.
I can see that,
while
actually.
Others will feel a renewed sense of dedication to protect those who can barely protect themselves. It's important to remember that Space Marines are the defenders of humanity and not the rulers of it. Humans, for better or worse, have been the leaders of the Imperium of Man until recently with the return of Primarch Guilliman. While the transformation of a human to Space Marine is complex, you'll often hear the terminology of a gene seed be used. Now, a gene seed is not literally a seed, but it is a specific organ that each Astartes carries with seed-like qualities. It's a term used to describe generally the genetic material of an Astartes. It's more accurately the cells and DNA required to engineer a human into an Astartes.
Based on different
The
Primarchs?
gene seed, more specifically though, refers to the Space Marines' progenoid glands. And the clue is in the name there when you think of progeny. These organs in a Space Marine respond to the other genetic implants they have and replicate DNA. Essentially, they are, in a manner of speaking, an asexual form of reproduction, which is why when a Space Marine is fatally wounded on a battlefield, an apothecary will fight to recover his gene seed. It's also why, yes, Space Marines do not require heterosexual reproduction. 5 years from implantation, a Space Marine's neck progeny glands can be harvested, but the chest glands won't be harvested up until 10 years. Space Marines essentially depend on themselves to produce new Marines for the chapter. Lastly, in this general sphere of discussion, to answer a very commonly discussed topic, are Space Marines actually castrated? And then, how do they excrete waste? Well, I can't actually recall anywhere in written law this being noted, so if anybody has a specific point of reference, please do link it. But my speculation, based on a few things that I've kind of looked at, is that pretty much the canon opinion is that Space Marines have no sexual drive. However, when it comes to excretion, it's true that their armor is also an environment suit that would cycle and process their own waste, much like a still suit in the Dune universe. Also, Space Marines do not live in their armor, although they may wear it for extended periods of time. It can be removed. It's entirely possible that their external genitals are removed and they have implants to take care of waste, but I've got nothing to see that it points towards this. So it's an unknown, but it's not something that's critically really important in the scheme of things. It's equally possible that it's just seen as an organ as with everything else and they just leave it all be.
Not lying. Never really thought about that. I mean, that, you know, it's simple. Well, not simple. It's like, you know, basic, because, you know, we're humans ourselves. Never thought about the excretion process and the waste, you know, the waste, not waste management, but the way they deal with waste. Like, you know, what if I got to take a piss in the middle of war? Like, I never thought about that. Never thought about that when it came to Space Marine. I always thought, like, you know, if you got to go, you got to go in the armor. Not doubt it, because then you see the armor, so it's valuable. Or, like, the fact that the suit is like an environmental suit and actually processing your waste is actually pretty smart. It makes sense. Damn, never really thought about that at all. The progenital glance is wild, because you basically, from that you come and recover it. Not sure. Well, apothecary. I mean, as far as I know, apothecary is like. I mean, using the word apothecary, it's usually always relates to like a doctor or somebody who studies poison. Usually that. But you know, it is valuable. The glands, the progenital glands are extremely valuable, because you just grab them, and then you can make another one. From there, you make another Space Marine, and just keep on reproducing them. That's actually insane. But as far as I am aware, I mean, we don't know so far is that there a lot of their genes come from their Primarch. So you got the legions, but this is actually cool. Damn, it's just like something like so like not basic, but like something you don't really think about. Their waste.
Now, before we look further into how a Space Marine is forged in the 41st millennium, let's remind ourselves how they were created over history. Now, the first form of Space Marine was originally created by the Emperor during the unification wars of the late 30th millennium. Earth at this time was a barren wasteland of scavengers and barbaric warring tribes after civilization had imploded as a result of the Age of Strife. Earth, being cut off from its supply routes in the warp, cannibalized itself and fell into total anarchy. After the Emperor originally created techno-barbarians, a crude adapted form of super soldier, he would form them later into the Thunder Warriors. These warriors were brutal, powerful, and most importantly, highly unstable. The Emperor knew that he wouldn't be able to...
I think I didn't see a comment of this. He created the Thunder Warriors from them. Never mind. Yeah, the Emperor did not create the techno-barbarians. He created the Thunder Warriors from them. Alright. That's just a correction I need to remind myself of.
To work with these soldiers forged in the fires of anarchy beyond the unification of Earth's warring tribes. And so he secretly constructed his genetic facilities in a fortress deep below vast mountain ranges on Earth. Here, he would, with some few remaining gene rights, create his Primarchs using his own genetic material as a template. Then subsequently, the very first of the new breed of warriors, the Space Marines, or Astartes. But what are the Thunder Warriors? Imperial records state that the Thunder Warriors were nearly all wiped out during a particularly bloody battle at the end of the Unification Wars on Mount Ararat. Conveniently, the new Legiones Astartes were created readily to replace them. Now, records from this time are understandably fragmented, but described eyewitness accounts from the few Thunder Warriors to survive this battle, like Arcturnus, stated that it was in fact the Emperor himself who massacred the Thunder Warriors. Others have stated that it was also in collaboration with his custodian guard. In several instances that occurred since this time where Thunder Warriors have appeared and faced their Astartes brothers, the Thunder Warriors have nearly always managed to inflict casualties beyond expectation before they are finally felled. This gives some indication of how powerful they were as warriors, and why the Emperor felt they were perhaps too dangerous given their power and psychological instability to function as a disciplined fighting and defensive force for the new Imperium.
I mean, they must be salty,
this whole situation is a dark and little spoken of episode for the Emperor of Man. Vocalizing these events would no doubt have some Inquisition or Ecclesiarchy on their way to you very promptly. With the Thunder Warriors killed in the Battle of Mount Ararat, the new Space Marines, the Legiones Astartes, would come to the fore. Unlike their Thunder Warrior forebears, they would undergo rigorous mental training as well as physical and genetic modifications.
That's fucked up. I mean, I get it. I do get it. Creating the Thunder Warriors to help you out during the Unification War. It is crazy. And then you toss them to the side because you have your creation now of the Space Marines. I'm not sure if it's 100% factual. I mean, it is based off different statements of what could have happened to the Thunder Warriors, so them either being extinct, basically going extinct after the war.
Before they are finally always custodian guard warriors, from the few Thunder Warriors to see fragmented, but decided to replace them. Now, records from this time are understandably fragmented, but
Like, yeah, it's
described
fragmented.
eyewitness accounts from the few Thunder Warriors to survive this battle, like Eric Tyrannus, stated that it was in fact the Emperor himself.
I mean, Edward Turnus. He is a witness, but it's like, is he a witness that you can rely, whose information is actually not reliable? But you know, I can kind of see it. It's a fucked up, but I can see it. You know, get rid of them because they're too dangerous to the fact that where they have the capabilities to take on even them. The Thunderers can take on different Space Marines as well. I can kind of see it, and I'm surprised because then, you know, usually this is where the Thunder Warriors become their own little faction to go against the Emperor or fight the Space Marines, but
Who massacred the Thunder Warriors. Others have stated that it was also in collaboration with his custodian guard. In several instances that occurred since this time where Thunder Warriors have appeared and faced their Astartes' expectation before they are finally felled. The Emperor felt they were perhaps too fighting. Little doubt have the Thunder Warriors killed in the Battle of Mount Ararat, the new Space Marines, the Legiones Astartes, would come to the fore. Unlike their Thunder Warrior forebears, they would undergo rigorous mental training as well as physical and genetic modifications. This would give them immense physical traits as well as being near unbreakable with their mental conditioning.
perfect
The
soldier.
new Marines were initially segregated into 20 legions. This separation was not for simple organizational purposes. Each legion was imbued with genetic traits from their Primarch, and as such this impacted their character and behavior. To ensure unity, the Emperor designated them to stay together in their legions to reduce friction and ensure cohesion of the Astartes brothers.
Organization in a sense,
Through recruiting and conquest of human colonies, as the Imperium expanded, so did the Astartes legions. What had begun as a handful of Marines swelled to tens of thousands during the Crusades. This would lead later to heavy damage caused during the heresy after the Primarchs holding such immense power, being the sole commanders of each Space Marine legion.
Yeah.
After that period of chaotic incursion, Roboute Guilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines, would draft the Codex Astartes, and the remaining loyalist Primarchs would, after much consideration, agree at best that the Space Marine legions be split into chapters. This was to ensure no Space Marine legion could wield the sheer weight of power they had during the Crusades and subsequent heresy. This was known as the Second Founding.
It's like checks and balances of
Each
power.
of these chapters would take a permanent homeworld or fortress monastery in the Imperium. The Codex Astartes states that each chapter would be 1,000 battle brothers in number and manage its own recruitment. A specific development in the creation of a Space Marine was discovered after the Horus Heresy.
That's a crazy armor. But now we have chapters. Oh, we have legions and then chapters inside the legions. That is cool. The creation of chapters, that is a way to basically check their power, so that way nobody gets out of control and too powerful.
Weaknesses in the gene seed. Now, as I previously explained, the gene seed is the core biological component in the creation of a Space Marine. During the heresy, Space Marines were created on a massive scale, and as with any biological replication process, if you do this on a large scale, then mutations and errors can occur in this DNA replication.
Actually, yeah.
So another result of the implementation of the Codex Astartes by Guilliman was to slow the process of creating a Space Marine, to more closely monitor their genetic material and the material implanted within new recruits to ensure purity and expunge defects. Guilliman would also establish core genetic banks on Terra to ensure a stock of genetics existed. These pure sources would provide new material for the foundings of Astartes chapters and also prevent any further contamination.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. Yeah. With a rapid increasing rate of Space Marines, and a lot of with a rapid increase of Space Marines and a lot of messing around with genetic mutation, they're like with genes replication, there's bound to be a lot of mistakes and mutations that are gonna occur. So yeah, because it is a process that it does sound like a very, very delicate process that you need to slow down a lot. It's like this point where like you need to maintain it. Yeah, like because like I do wonder, like I mean there probably is. I do wonder if there's like a group or anything where there's like it's purely Space Marines that suffer mutation, unless of course those mutations led to death, always 100%. But I am curious about this mutation, how they actually came out to be, of some like disfigurement, of some crazy looking shit, because it is Warhammer. But damn, so we have chapters. I wonder if somebody has some videos on chapters now. Fuck, that's cool. You have legions, now we have chapters to explore, and it kind of again is used as ways to check his balance or to check people's power, check the power of a legion. Recruitment
As
process.
previously described, each chapter is responsible for its own replenishment. It chooses where and how to locate potential Space Marine candidates. Many will recruit solely from their own homeworld, but others will reach out to hive worlds of the Imperium to locate powerful and resilient fighters who have shown promise and an unnatural ability in combat, even potentially recruiting from gang fighters in hive cities.
Shit.
Feral planets can also be good for selection, as the humans here are physically tough and have to deal with daily hardships more frequently than some other Imperial planets. Surprisingly, less recruits actually appear from the militaristic worlds like fortress planets, maybe because although knowing the lives of military discipline, they haven't endured the true horror and hardships that come from the rougher ends of Imperial life. Any candidate for a Space Marine will be usually young, between the ages of 10 and 15 years old, obviously needing to be strong, healthy and fiercely loyal to the Imperium. Often on worlds where recruitment occurs, young male humans who show exceptional skill or strength are pushed hard to give them the best chance of potential recruitment. Candidates can occasionally be as old as 20, but the full effect of their biological conversions may not be as effective or complete.
So you need that,
Standard trials
time
for Space Marine recruitment often involve combat, endurance, perhaps hunting of some extremely dangerous indigenous animal, and for the few who survive the tasks set by the Astartes who are there to supervise, the rewards are beyond estimation.
It sounds very tribal, actually. I love that.
Standard trials for Space Marine recruitment often involve combat, endurance, perhaps hunting of some extremely dangerous indigenous animal.
Well, the hunting part, I mean, the hunting part sounds like so like tribal, you know, like because you know you become a full-fledged hunter now. You prove yourself worthy by hunting down a lion or a tiger. You know, we've seen it before, and we heard about it in history too as well. But then obviously you have combat experience as well.
And for the few who survive the tasks set by the Astartes who are there to supervise, the rewards are beyond estimation. It's difficult to describe just how revered Space Marines are to ordinary citizens of the Imperium. While they wouldn't be directly worshipped, they are certainly individuals with godlike reverence and awe. Many humans in the Imperium will go their entire lives without ever even seeing an Astartes, and they may only arrive on an Imperial planet once in a generation. On some worlds, they are even somewhat mythical. So for a family on an Imperial world to have their son chosen for Space Marine recruitment and candidacy would be an honor beyond imagination. But from some perspectives, bittersweet, in as all likelihood they may never see them again once they have been accepted.
Yeah, that's true.
And in very high possibility,
will
probably die in later processes. But it's nonetheless the highest honor to serve the Emperor and the Imperium in this way, and would no doubt lead to adulation, even possible special treatment for families after the fact. Ordinary citizens understand that to be accepted for the conversion to the Astartes, the Emperor's chosen warriors, is nothing short of becoming a demigod. Then again, you could just as easily have been recruited from a hive world full of daily extreme violence, and your gang was just forcibly made to participate in the trials, and you were simply the only one left alive at the end. So that's your flip side of the coin. Pray you never...
That's crazy, oh man. That's crazy though. Like, yeah, that's like in a normal setting with a family, you're being the chosen one to become a space or go to the trial. You know, being recruited to become a Space Marine, go to the trial a bit. It's such a high honor, you know, it's like crazy. Even the families compensate a little bit. It's crazy. And then the other side of the coin, you know, your gang gets put through a whole trial. That's fucking funny. That's funny and crazy though. You be the last man standing. That's, you know, you're worthy. It's not as seen in such a beautiful light as it is in a normal occasion.
Seek acceptance to the Grey Knights. I'll cover that later.
The Grey Knights.
Despite all the physical and mental requirements for candidacy, another element is spiritual purity. In the 41st millennium, Imperial society is heavily religious, worshipping the God Emperor, and most importantly, decrying the ruinous powers of chaos. Chaplains and the ecclesiarchy will continually monitor society around Astartes' recruitment sources to ensure that there are no signs of taint by the dark forces of chaos.
They need to be pure. Oh, pretty straightforward, actually. Pretty straightforward for the recruitment process.
Over the selected candidates, now known as aspirants, will begin the ritual process of becoming a Space Marine. This may be a formal process of reciting scripture, or it could involve further trials. These could take place on the homeworld, or result in immediate departure for the aspirant. Each chapter has their own private and guarded initiations. Some of these can be heavily traumatic and are usually significantly harder tests designed to break those who show even the smallest cracks of weakness. These trials for the young aspirants may even include ritual slaughter, scarification, even amputation and bloodletting. It's all designed to prove their commitment, loyalty, and unwavering faith in the Astartes chapter.
It's one crazy way to do it.
Unsurprisingly, some aspirants do not pass this phase of testing physically or mentally.
It sounds insane, but it's like, god damn, you know, like, I mean, each chapter again has their own. They're in charge of their own initiation process, but like, you know, your first day in, cut your arm off, bro, for the Emperor. It's like, it's like, you know what you're getting yourself into. I mean, I wonder, because like mentally, like, obviously, I mean, also depends how public, you know, how public does everybody know the actual process of how they become a Space Marine. Again, initiations are different depending on the chapter, but like, I do wonder if it's common knowledge of how gruesome it is to become a Space Marine. I mean, granted, Space Marines are seen as the great, you know, as demigods. Demigods are shown to be, you know, amazing. This is peak. This is what you want to become. So I'm not sure the toughness, like the tough side of the recruitment process, it's shown to the public. Like, basically, what I'm trying to say is like, do people know? Do people generally know what they're getting themselves into? Or I mean, I'm probably assuming everybody's just blinded, not blinded, because you know you are becoming a peak ass human if you make it and you survive, become a Space Marine, become a demigod. But I generally wonder if some people actually know what they're getting into. Besides, and in this case, I'm talking about people that actually, you know, they work the hardest, not gangs or, you know, criminals that get recruited by force.
Aspirants will continue periods of testing and examination as well as actual live combat during their period as a recruit for the Space Marine chapter. And some of these trials may be cleverly disguised as coming-of-age rituals, other celebrations some more combat-based. All, though, will be observed carefully by senior members of the chapter and chaplains who will be assessing key traits and behaviours, looking for candidates who fulfil their exacting requirements. Some of these aspirants from Fira worlds or even other worlds may not be truly aware of what Space Marines are, and this innocence may in some way protect them from making overthought errors that cost them later. Still, some chapters actually take little interest in these early stages and will only actually become involved later once aspirants have been further thinned down. The whole process is a physical and psychological minefield. Some challenges could be unachievable, while others, the simple act of survival is enough to merit approval to progress to the next stage.
I can see that.
All the tests put to Space Marine aspirants are designed to test every element of their being to the limit and expose any weaknesses that are present, as well as learn about how they handle and make judgments on situations they are presented with. While the recruitment age for these aspirants is undoubtedly young, it's worth remembering that the nightmare environment of the 41st millennium is undoubtedly very harsh, and so growing up and becoming an adult quickly is something which many learn to do, and so their age shouldn't necessarily dictate your judgment of them based on our current period
it's one of the universes. Yeah, it's one of the universes where, I would not want to live in this universe at all. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys agree. A lot of you guys would definitely agree. Like, unless you're in a position where like you're him, or you're the Emperor himself, like, you know, even then, I would not want to be in this universe. But like, it is a universe where, unless you're in a very, very protected society inside of the Imperium, it's definitely a universe where you're gonna grow extremely fast mentally. Where you're 10 years old, but you have the mindset of a man already because of shit you experienced.
Standard Astartes trials for these young recruits can include knowledge of self. Astartes look at recruits' mental strength equally to the physical. The horrors they will face in their lives as a Space Marine, despite later conditioning, require the strongest character in a recruit to be successful and worthy. They may use a chapter librarian to impose psychic horrors on a recruit to see if they survive the nightmares they're forced to witness.
Just mentally.
He may be forced to take drugs and face the worst parts of his own psyche. The stress and trauma of this trial can often physically affect their bodies as well. So in many ways this becomes the ultimate test for recruits.
What is that design?
Completion of this trial will undoubtedly fundamentally alter the young recruit forever. Some chapters, like the Imperial Fists, consider this kind of mental testing especially important, but do so by exposing their recruits to literal physical pain, and we use devices like the subtly titled pain glove. These hook into the nervous system of the recruit and inflict horrific pain, but also maintain their consciousness well past what a normal individual
that's crazy.
can. The result will either be a mentally toughened but probably scarred individual,
That's fine,
or a complete mental breakdown and death. An obvious and standard
what
test
is
for many
pain?
recruits is exposure. Most worlds of the Imperium have unforgiving environments, and so sending out recruits into these wastes with little to survive with is an easy way to tell who is strong enough as a candidate. Space Marine apothecaries can rebuild damaged individuals, so the test is less of can you survive without consequences, and more simply, can you survive?
Can you endure?
Many worlds are severely irradiated, frozen wastes, toxic wastelands, or ashen wastes, where planets have suffered total ecological collapse.
God damn.
Alternately, a planet could also be a literal jungle full of horrific creatures, small and large, ready to tear you to pieces or just melt your face off. As stated, the test is simple: survive for a set period of time.
Survive. It's all
It
about
will
survival.
also likely involve some object of crossing a distance from A to B, so as to avoid recruits just digging a hole somewhere and sitting in it until time has
Yeah,
elapsed.
you give
Some
them
of the
actual
tests could
objectives.
well be impossible to complete, and are simply assessing who can survive longest or travel furthest before dying or near death. The Ultramarines and Space Wolf chapters are known to favour exposure testing. A fairly self-explanatory trial, recruits are pitted against one another in one-on-one combat. When the last few remain, the assessing Astartes will usually halt the assessment. The type of duel could vary between armed or unarmed combat, consecutive combat, or recruits switching out on completing rounds. There is one constant though, and that is it's always a fight to the death. Again, apothecaries are able to heal most ordinary human wounds with ease, so these fights are often fairly no-holds-barred brutal affairs. Amputation and heavy trauma being the norm. Unsurprisingly, duels are the
really
Blood
good.
Angels' trial of choice, but others such as Dark Angels, Imperial Fists and Space Wolves also put this trial to their recruits.
Hold on.
Being
The Blood
norm.
Angels, Space Wolves.
Unsurprisingly, duels are the Blood Angels' trial of choice, but others such as Dark Angels, Imperial
Dark
Fists and
Angels,
Space Wolves also put this trial to their recruits. War is life in the Imperium, and although
Literally.
some worlds know this more than others, planets used for recruitment usually have some form of regular combat going on. This trial is less a trial and more a means of assessing potential candidates. Astartes may have observed head-hunting particularly strong champions, or they may watch them from orbit, observing infighting between tribes on Imperial feral worlds. In this trial, recruits are tasked to head out into their homeworld and slay a beast for causing chaos or harm to their world. Many Imperial worlds host highly dangerous life forms or worse, orc infestations. The recruit must go out alone, or sometimes in small groups, and return with their captured hunt, often alive. With these group hunts, though, the nasty twist is that there can only be one successful recruit, so they could turn on each other, break off alone to achieve or steal victory. I personally question the validity of this test. Fighting to the death to show strength over others seems plausible, but setting out in as a group, but then betraying other recruits seems to go kind of against the traits Astartes look for in recruits.
Yeah, it feels like traitorous. You know, like everything so far, the way the recruit is engineered to get the most possible, strongest, physically, mental soldier you could possibly get individually, and loyal, obviously loyal, and spiritually pure, loyal to the Emperor, and yeah, you need a peak person, all types of level. So like, you know, having a trial where you need to become a traitor to your own brothers is kind of, if it is iffy. It is actually pretty iffy. Not something I would expect, because then, you know, that's kind of iffy as trial. Usually, you know, because even if you send a group into a trial where you have survival of the fittest, where you need to survive. As a group, you could work together and push as far as you can, you know, together as a group. There's loyalty be amongst you guys. But then, you know, planting traitor seeds as early on is not that good. It's not good and friendly. So I agree with Luetin09 in this case. Like, it's kind of iffy.
Anyway, on returning home, they'll be required to slay their successful hunt in a ritual in front of their community before being led successfully away in the throes of glory. Lastly, the quite vague challenge trial. And this is exactly what it is. Some form of probably unsurmountable challenge. Shit. This could be to attempt to fight a full-blown Space Marine in combat. An impossible task, you might imagine, but usually remember, this is the 41st millennium and bizarre occurrences are abound. While the thought of a child fighting a Space Marine seems insane, Remember, the task is usually to see how they approach it, not necessarily their success.
Yeah.
In some extremely rare situations, though, the aspirant may actually beat the Space Marine challenger. As completely impossible as this may seem, that individual usually will hold some unusual or rare power and will go on to become a legendary hero of the chapter. The aspirant will also usually be armed, while the Space Marine unarmed and without his power armor. Still, as with most of the former trials, the test here is really about if they can just survive at all, not so much best their opponent.
I mean, damn. I want to see that. I wonder who actually who did it successfully. I wonder what Titus did. I mean, Titus like the only person I know. Titus is like the only character I actually know so far. Like, I'm aware of a little bit about, but yeah, damn, that's actually cool.
Other arguably more horrific tests though could be non-combat based and test a recruit's strength, speed, mental skill, or resistance to toxins. So they might, for example, be forced to drink nightmarish toxic chemicals, lift weights so heavy they break their bones apart, or evade some kind of horrific, dangerous trap. Recruits deemed to have succeeded by whatever standards, however unlikely, will then be restored by chapter apothecaries. Ultramarines
these apothecaries are amazing. Apothecaries are medics, but these apothecaries are amazing. And it's like, you wonder, does it create that kind of sense where, like, I mean, you're still suffering the pain, you're still suffering the excruciating pain of, you know, losing your limb and that, but then you'll be fixed. But like, damn, you guys are good. Holy shit.
Again, Imperial Fists favor these trials. Clearly, a great many recruits will not survive this stage of assessment, but even those who fail to be accepted but by some miracle survive will usually be heavily respected for having done so, not just by their families and friends, but by the assessing Astartes. Having done no wrong but maybe just not made the cut, these surviving but unsuccessful aspirants who were assessed on their home world may return to their former communities, a rare occurrence. Or they may continue on to serve the chapter as a serf, a menial but loyal servant who takes personal care of, say, a Marine's armor and weaponry. Those returned to their homes are extremely few, but surprisingly are not perceived as failures. It would be made clear to all that having just survived, they have shown sheer strength and integrity as an Imperial citizen. They would then likely go on to become a strong leader for that world as Imperial Guard, Planetary Defense Force, or some other leadership.
That's dope. It's actually pretty dope. It's not just limited to becoming Space Marines. You guys can actually go back home. Well, if you survive, if by some miracle again you survive, damn. At that point, it was like, damn, what kind of person you become? Because that's such a crazy and immense challenge. I mean, yeah, you probably become a strong leader mentally. You become a strong person, but it's like, that's still like PTSD type of shit. But that's the world of Warhammer entirely. That's the world of Warhammer. Like, the fact that you survived, bro, you came back home is such a story to tell, and it's damn.
Successful aspirants will now become Neophytes. They will move on to the next stage, where they'll begin the early stages of conversion to a full Space Marine, with the initial implantation of the gene seed and chemical adaptation of their genetically enhanced organs. This could mean immediate departure with a Space Marine brother to the next phase, or it may be that they are allowed to celebrate in their home community before departure. A very huge moral boost for the Imperial community there, and also to help reinforce Imperial values and loyalty. To be able to say your community gained a successful Astartes recruit is no small thing, and statues, paintings, songs and stories will be told for many years, if not generations to come. Neophytes will be expected to engage in training for combat as well as other mental training, as well as following chapter lore. If a Neophyte should break chapter lore through ignorance or unthinkably by deliberately doing so, they will expect severe punishments. A Neophyte breaking chapter lore will not simply be thrown out, they would likely be mind scrubbed, live out their lives as either, best case scenario, chapter serfs, being menial servants, or worse, forcible amputation and body conversion to life as cybernetic drones and slaves.
Damn!
Successful Neophytes immediately will begin conditioning to be implanted with their gene seeds and relevant genetic enhancements. Space Marines must be male because the gene seed is only compatible with male hormones and genetics. So no, you won't see female Space Marines. The Neophytes also need to be tested for compatibility. I'm always kind of surprised that this doesn't happen before the recruitment trials, but anyway, so they're tested for compatibility otherwise as with organ transplants. Rejection would be fatal for the Neophyte. Even with this testing, it can still happen later down the line. They will then further...
Because I thought you might have got into it. I thought you might have gotten into the actual organs. I instantly saw they have a secondary heart. They have a secondary heart. Half these terms, I don't know what they mean. Apologize. Lineman's ear are different. It filters background noise and improves balance. Yes, for those who are not aware, you know that your balance does come from ears. A lost technical enhancements to optical growth, oculobe, better eyes, catalepsian node, permits awareness of surroundings while resting. Damn. Melanchrome monitors radiation adjustment, adjust skin pigmentation. They basically have adaptive skin. Holy shit! What's a radiation? So I know they had an organ that could filter out toxins because of the last video we watched. Simulates muscular growth, the bioscopia. Suspended membrane allows survival from trauma through suspended animation. Zygo deficient? I can't read that. Damn, suspended animations. So basically, you just stop yourself. Neuroglotis analyzes harmful food by taste. So you can taste what's poison. The Betcher's gland give Marines ability to spit a corrosive. Excuse me? Zygo the piss. I can't read that word. It's bad quality. I apologize. Feel free to clarify in the comment section of it. You can spit out corrosive poison. And they can't. They can all spit out. What the? That's insane. Collects and matures genetic materials into genius into GC. The project notes. Yes. The Hamestone enhances blood composition efficiency. Ironman's organs promotes growth of instant scar tissues over wounds. That's fast.
Immediately will begin conditioning to be implanted with their gene seeds and relevant genetic enhancements. Space Marines must be male because the gene seed is only compatible with male hormones and genetics. So no, you won't see female Space Marines. The Neophytes also need to be tested for compatibility. I'm always kind of surprised that this doesn't happen before the recruitment trials, but anyway, so they're tested for compatibility otherwise as with organ transplants.
I mean, at that point, because I feel like the testing, the trials are really physically and mental, basically see, you know, who's physically and mentally ready. Because then you might waste somebody that could be useful by, you know, preemptively doing the whole process before you send them to trials. Identifies and neutralizes poisons as a preliminary. All right, the multi-lung allows breathing and toxic atmosphere. That's cool. The lytic kidney facilitates blood exercise and detoxification. There you go. But also want to talk about a little bit about the female. We did watch the Horus Heresy video, cinematic video. There is a silent. Fuck. Not sure that was a chapter. Damn, I forgot what it was. A chapter. I mean, the chapters are based on Legion Space Marines, but there are female figures that we've seen. We've seen some of the actual art in this trailers, but it's crazy. They can't really become Space Marines, but they do have their own force. The woman was it Silent Witches? Damn, I forgot the name of it. Someone told me in the comment section. That's another thing I do want to check out. Like the female side, their whole group and whole things.
Rejection would be fatal for the Neophyte. Even with this testing, it can still happen later down the line. They will then further have their mental strength checked before implantation of the gene seed begins to ensure that they are in no way compromised by the forces of chaos.
Initiates.
If all these criteria are approved, the Neophyte recruit will now become a Space Marine Scout, or in some cases a full Space Marine Initiate. They will live isolated in the Space Marine Chapter's Fortress Monastery on the homeworld, save for any approved missions. The individual will be tutored on battle methods, tactics, psycho-conditioning, values, and the history of his chapter. The reason these early Marines are titled Initiates is because it is still unknown as to whether they will even survive to the final end process of becoming a full battle brother. 19 organs grown from the chapter gene seed will be implanted to the Neophyte Initiate. Some are transplants and others are grown in the trainee Marine's body.
Ooh,
The gene seed will also
so
adapt
gross.
and change and grow the individual's body to become the giant size of a space marine, towering over ordinary mortal humans. Much of the body chemistry will be fundamentally reworked during this time, and the gene seed contains genetically engineered viral machines which rebuild the body to the template created by the Emperor. Any implant has a potential to fail, and this rejection will automatically end and probably kill the initiate. As if the odds weren't stacked against them already, this further thins down the number who survive to the end of this arduous process.
Even then, it's thinning on the herd extremely.
19 implanted or grown organs to become a
God.
full space marine are as follows.
Hold on. All right, hold on, because these armors are fire. The sword and shield is insane. I love it. I got distracted a little bit. No, hold on.
19 implanted who survive to the end of this arduous process. In brief, the 19 implanted or grown organs to become a full space marine are as follows.
Phase 1, secondary heart, 10, 11 years. Phase 1 can be introduced at the same time. We can do it all at the same time. This is modular, Biscopia for the muscles, 10 to 12. Phase 4 and 5 can be introduced at the same time as well. That's 12 to 14 years, 13 to 13 years. That's a long time. I mean, Space Marines live a long time as well, too. Lambent's organs. The Calyspian node, unfortunately, 17 years. The hypnotherapy begins. 7, 8, and 9. They're usually introduced simultaneously. You get all these at the same time. All right? October 14, 16. Lyman's here, 14, 16 years. 16. Damn. 14, 15 to 16. Do this at the same time as well. Kidney. It's a lot of fucking years. The final implant. The carapace.
First, a secondary heart to increase blood supply and capacity. It can also pump steroids and extra adrenaline for battle situations. The os modular or iron heart. This strengthens and grows the skeleton of a space marine so that his bones will contain a ceramic-based mineral which is added to an initiate's diet. After a few years, the Space Marine skeleton will be exponentially stronger than a normal human. The ribcage will have become fused to a solid bone plate, providing extra protection for internal organs. The Biscopia is implanted within the chest cavity, and this increases skeletal muscular development, essentially muscle density. The hemastomen assists in carrying oxygen and nutrients more efficiently throughout the blood. It also assists in regulating the second and third implants. The Larraman's organ is also placed in the chest and manufactures synthetic Larraman cells. These serve like ordinary human blood platelets, but faster and more efficient. When a Space Marine is wounded, they form fully healed scar tissue in seconds, preventing hemorrhaging. This ability can make Space Marines appear invincible as they take wound after wound. Anything other than the most catastrophic of injuries is going to leave them still standing. The catalepsia node is implanted in the back of the cerebrum. It allows Space Marines to avoid the need for sleep, entering them into a form of ongoing coma, allowing their brain the ability to systematically recharge by individual parts at a time. This enables them to stay on duty for hundreds of hours. The seventh implant is the preomnor. It functions as a decontamination chamber above the stomach and will analyze ingested materials, neutralizing any organic or inorganic toxins. It also enables the Astartes to eat materials for sustenance that would kill ordinary humans. The omophagia is implanted in the upper spinal cord. It absorbs information through ingested DNA and RNA related to memories. The purpose is to gain tactical or survival information by eating animals or life forms indigenous on a planet.
That's where it comes from.
In addition to a second heart, Space Marines also have multi-lungs as their ninth implant. 3 in fact. This is to give them extra oxygen absorption in thin air environments. In a toxic environment, their ordinary lungs are shut off to allow the third lung to act as a filter for any necessary toxins. The 10th adaptation is the oculobe. It's a gene seed adaptation that enhances eyesight along the optic nerves. This gives increased accuracy of vision and increased low light sight ability. Lyman's ear is not simply better for more accurate hearing, it enables Marines to resist ordinary human dizziness and for them to be able to filter out white noise and sonic attacks. The Sasan membrane allows a Space Marine to enter a state of suspended animation. This can enable mortally wounded Marines to survive until help or an apothecary's arrival. This hibernation period has been known to be able to
They
last
really
for
become
anything
the ultimate
as long
killing machine.
as half a century. Melanochrome alters the pigments in the skin cells, allowing Astartes to shield himself from dangerous radiation and heat. Different levels of this in effect can cause physical differences between chapters, such as the very pale skin of the Blood Angels or the darker skin of the Salamanders.
Shit.
The oolitic kidney filters blood to further remove toxins that have been ingested in combination with the seventh organ. It is best not to think of this though like an ordinary kidney, as this organ functions to assist in removing toxins before they have passed through any normal process of absorption. Otherwise, it wouldn't be very useful. It also helps to regulate the advanced circulatory system and other organs. The neuroglottis in the mouth allows a marine to biochemically analyze things by taste or smell, or determine if something is poisonous or safe. Despite their advanced organs, this could still be very useful for a variety of purposes, and it can also enable them to track targets, much like a canine.
Actually, yeah.
The mucranoid is implanted in the nervous system, and if activated through an external treatment, will cause the Astartes skin to secrete a waxy substance. This will cocoon them to protect them in situations of extended suspended animation, even the vacuum of space or other temperature
Holy
extremes.
Shit.
The Betcher's gland consists of 2 glands implanted in the mouth. These allow the Astartes to use their saliva as a corrosive acid when consciously
that's
activated.
insane, bro.
This could enable them to corrode bars if they were held captive, or remove doors from their hinges. It also can assist them in eating difficult to break down substances.
I guess, yeah.
Some marine chapters have found that this organ no longer functions or has become less effective over time. The progenoid glands, or the gene seeds, are the critical organs of a space marine. They're implanted into the neck and chest cavity and serve as reproductive glands to allow their DNA to be collected upon death and safeguard the continuity of the chapter. Apothecaries of a space marine chapter will cultivate germ cells from the progenoid glands to create the 19 organs of a space marine, or some of them, because some are grown within the space marine themselves. The final organ is the black carapace, otherwise called the interface. This material is implanted under the skin of the chest with the now shell-like ribcage. Fibered bundles then grow inward and interlink with the Space Marine's nervous system. Points for these bundles are pre-cut by apothecaries and form neural connection points. The function of these are to allow a Space Marine to interface with the heavy power armor, or as some would have you believe, the armor's machine spirit. These connections enables faster reaction and maneuverability without the Space Marines would lumber around very much encumbered by the heavy armor they wear. It's worth remembering that this whole process probably sounds heavily traumatic, but consider that it ideally happens when the young Neophyte initiates between the ages of about 10 to 12 years old and should be then completed by age 18. Many are going to suffer critical or multiple organ failure during the process. The penalty, or arguably mercy for this, is usually euthanasia, although conversion to a servitor for the chapter is sometimes an option, depending on chapters and their needs. Again, for those families who never see their sons again, in some cases, it's probably for the best. All they need to know is, he's serving the Imperium.
Yep. Because you
more recently, since the involvement of Belisarius Paul of the Mechanicum, Primaris Marines are a new breed of superhuman Astartes. Under instruction from Rebuk Guilliman, Primaris Astartes are only created from the gene seeds of loyalist Primarchs.
Of course.
They contain 3 additional organs, and their gene seed is considerably more genetically stable. Guilliman had instructed Call to develop these new organs with the goal of creating the Primaris. And their additional organs are the sinew coils. This enables the sinew of a Primaris Astartes to be durametallic, contracting with immense force, gifting them extreme strength and his body further resilience. This increased strength will literally enable them to crush the skulls of their enemies with bare hands. The magnifact in this small lobe is inserted to the brain cortex. It secretes a hormone to increase the body's growth functions, with the goal of also intensifying further functions of the other implanted organs.
You literally buff everything else.
This organ is in fact half of the immortis gland, the God-maker gland of the Primarchs. For undisclosed reasons, Paul was only able to discover the right half of this gland, not the full gland itself. The left half had been fully eradicated from Imperial records by either the Emperor himself or others unknown. And third, the Belisarian furnace. This organ lies dormant and connects to both a Marine's hearts. In times of immense physical stresses, it expels chemicals simulating combat stimulants, increasing the regrowth of tissue, bone and muscle. This is a short-term use organ and requires time to recharge after using.
It's 3 buffs. The Primaris? Bro, we just managed to make the Space Marines even more OP by using the damn. By buffing them again. That's crazy. The Primaris is wild. You make enhancing the already strong as Space Marines or even with more glands is, well, not more glands, more body, more organs is insane. But is it magnificent? No.
And further functions of the other implanted organs. Apparently, this organ is in fact half of the Immortis gland. The
Immortis gland. The fact that the left one was erased from history is insane. Because I feel like it has to do some crazy shit. It has to make you probably godlike at that point. It just puts you even further in.
God Maker gland of the Primarchs. For undisclosed reasons.
It's called the God Maker gland from a Primarch. That's crazy.
Extreme strength and his body more genetically stable. 3 additional organs become Primaris Marines, are a new breed of superhuman Astartes.
Yeah, they call it Primaris. Oops. No, what's for? Oh, what's for?
Requires time to recharge after using.
Primaris. In the Astartes.
Now, if this incredibly harrowing physical conversion is successful, the Neophyte or Initiate will have completed the arguably most challenging part of his transformation. However, during these changes, they will still be undergoing some of the most challenging training and assessment regimes humanity had ever known. Psychological and physical conditioning, subconscious therapy, and endless live battle training sessions. Their senses and mental abilities far exceed ordinary humans by the end of this process. Their mental toughness is beyond measure, and an Astartes will essentially ignore pain and environmental conditions.
You literally become molded into
an Astartes will assault enemies who, to simply look upon, would make an ordinary human suffer a complete mental break. Many, through endless conditioning, will develop photographic memories. Much of this round-the-clock therapy will also neutralize any latent character flaws and create stable, highly single-minded warriors. This endless mental and physical indoctrination will also teach and reinforce high respect for authority and to expertly carry out orders. With that said, it's important to remember that Space Marines are not mindless drones or clones. They are individuals, and while always following the rule of command, if a situation warrants it, they are entirely capable of disobeying orders if they believe it to be ultimately necessary. The consequences for this, though, could be, and usually are, potentially highly severe. At the end of this process, the few successful young children who are pitted against one another and survive the ordeals to reach this point will be welcomed as successful young initiates, becoming full Space Marine battle brothers, Imperial Astartes, the greatest warriors in the galaxy. Astartes' aging, though, does seem somewhat random, with some living even as long as 10,000 years. But given the fractured and strange nature of time in the 41st millennium, it can be really hard to put accurate expectancies on this, and many Marines who are not killed may reach at least half a century in age.
God damn!
It's no exaggeration to state that on successfully becoming an Astartes, these men would be far from what you would recognize as human. Their extended lives and nearly unbreakable bodies are truly no prize. Their lives from this point on are spent in the sole act of defending humanity and the Imperium of Man.
Killing machines.
Accepting that their lives will be lost in battle at some point in the future, probably in horrific circumstances. They'll never see anyone they had ever known in their lives again. Families, friends will die far before they even begin to think of such things. Space Marines are the protectors. Humanity in the 41st millennium stands on a precipice. We've known many horrors, disasters, and catastrophes.
It's insane, honestly.
Many worlds, but the next millennia will be the most critical. Threats surround humanity, some still difficult to gauge just how severe and if we can resist them. Our hope is in the Astartes, and the Imperium of Man, and the Emperor. With the Primarch Robert Guilliman returned, there is a glimmer of hope in the darkness.
Hopefully so, but that's fucking insane. Primaris. I never changes, so war never changes. That's such a good line. from Reboot Gilliman. That's such a true ass line that applies to us even now today. This is wild. Like, I love the fact that Luetin brings back the fact that they're children into the equation. At that point, they're not children. They're technically children, but it's like at that point, bro, through what they suffered, they've gone through hell. They're no longer classified as children, bro. This is wild. Holy shit. It feels like so much effort too to make one, but guys, again, that's why you thin them and thin them and thin them. The whole process is a thinning process. It's literally just thinning the herd. The whole process of it. Even once you become an initiate himself, and you get the organs as well. Surviving the organs is a challenge within itself. Surviving the organs, adapting to your body is insane. Or you adapting to the organs is insane. It's some gruesome ass shit. Luckily, all you gotta do is get the progenitor gland and put it onto the next one and continue. That's all you gotta keep on doing. And then, the Warhammer universe is vast. It's not just, only Terra. It's not, you're not just getting recruits from Terra. You're getting them all over the place, everywhere. So you have a big resource of potential recruits, But this is insane. It's some gruesome ass shit. Of course, I didn't think it would be that simple. I didn't think the recruitment process would be simple at all. I expected it to be gruesome, but I love the fact that it is based. A lot of it is based on not even success. It's not even based on success. The earlier trials is not about you completing the trial, because a lot of the trials are meant to be impossible. They are impossible because they want to see how you mentally handle the situations, how you go about it. Are you able to survive in general? Are you able to still alive with the last breath? So that's fucking it's awesome. Even the initiation, depending on the chapter, could be fucking wild. But again, you have apothecaries, but like knowing you have apothecaries and the fact they can fix you, it's still gonna create a sense of like, it's just, I don't know what it is. It's like, it should be weird, like, just because your arm can get healed again doesn't mean I'm gonna cut it off again, I'm not going back to that pain, but like, of course, eventually, through these trials, initiation, everything, this whole process is meant to create not the perfect being, because again, as he mentioned in the end of the video, that they're not robots, they're not clones, they're not mindless, they're still people, despite them going through mental hardships and physical hardships. They still have their own personalities. They are people. They are, at the base of it, they are still people, kids, but so they're not just mindless. They're not mindless. It is like, yeah, it's something that's not iffy, because it works. You guys create demigods essentially, but at the end of it, if you manage to survive it, but it's like, imagine being somebody to get, obviously it's going to be seen with such glory and you're such pride, you got recruited to be one. It's like, damn, it's an honor. It's really an honor, but the hardship is, it's fucking insane. I do like the fact that even sometimes, even if you don't make it and you survive, you're still able to serve. You're still able to serve in a different role. You don't become a spaceman, but you're still able to serve and be useful to society. The fact that you can make you a mindless, or a cyborg, not a cyborg, a mindless drone, it sounds like eternity of hell. There's so much there's so much in this process that goes south, but it's like, again, it's about thinning the herd and getting the strongest person possible, mentally and physically. And it's like, would you be able to do it? I don't think so. For us, I don't know. I would never go through this process. I would never. Granted, I would never live in I would never live in this universe to begin with. Fuck no. Hell no. Fuck. Hell no. Nope. There's so much shit that could kill you. There's so much shit that could go wrong. It's insane, bro. Like, no. Like no. Honestly, I'm curious to see what's the general, like, the age expectancy of somebody that lives in Terra, of a normal civilian. I'm honestly curious about that kind of fact. Maybe it's high. Maybe it's us, because yes, apothecaries probably only used for apothecaries probably only used for Space Marines and people of importance. But like, I do wonder, because it's far into the future as well. So technology should be kind of rather advanced too, to an extent. But like, there's so much that could kill you out there. There's so much that could kill you in this universe. Like, there's a lot. Like, I would not want to live in this universe. I won't sink a fucking bit though. But honestly, this is actually a great video. This is actually a fucking phenomenal video, because we dove into the actual organs themselves. It's like, they're like self-sustaining killing machines. I would say perfect soldiers, because physically that's what they're built to be. Physically, they're a perfect soldier. You can't poison them. Well, it's not, that's the extreme. You can't really poison them like that. They're able to filter out. They have 2 hearts. Their skin themselves, they're so adaptive. They're insane. One Space Marine is insane. Not even that Space Marine. A Space Marine, yeah. an initiate that, you know, managed to go through and cook, they themselves are insane. And it's like, fuck, you know, when you kill one of them, if you yourself are not another Space Marine from a different chapter, from a trader or heretic group, from a legion, if you're another person that's not even a Space Marine and you manage to kill one, that's a huge mega ultra achievement. That is an insane achievement. He's killing one of them is wild. And I love the fact you don't really see. Well, we've seen it before. We saw it in the Stardust trailers, on the Stardust video. So we saw how brutal and overpowered they are. It's the fact that they sent 4 of them into one planet and they handle business. But like you're a human or something else, and you managed to kill one, you could die on the spot and be happy because you managed to kill one. But like it's wild because it's something you don't really think about. Well, I have thought about because we did again, going back to the horror series cinematic we watched. We saw the Iron Warriors versus Salamanders, and they were going at it at each other and stuff. But you don't really think about their ability because they are fighting other Space Marines until you see them fight somebody they can't handle them at all. Fuck though, holy shit. This is wild, but it's all, again, going back to the beginning of the video, it's about molding my Space Marine, my ultimate creation. Then on top of that, you got the Primaris, bro. That's wild. You got overpowered Space Marines, and then I can't say overpowered, but like you have extremely strong Space Marines, and then you're gonna give them even strengthen them even more, bro. Like God, bro, at this point you can send one of them. You can probably spend one by Primaris into war, and you come back alive. Now I might be giving too much credit, but maybe so, of course. But holy shit! But other than that, this was a fantastic video. I do want to dive into more of the female. I don't know how to call them. I guess the female factions in a sense. I do want to dive into female side factions. You know, as was stated in this video, females cannot become Space Marines. But we've seen some art. We saw one of them in the horror series. And they received that the females they can become their own kind of warriors, which I want to check out as well because that sounds dope as fuck. My God. But besides that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, I will be checking out the faction videos just because I did this. You know, we're not done. We have lots to cover. I'm basing it more off what I'm really interested in, not just trying to do in kind of certain order. I'm doing topics of what I genuinely want to know. Factions is something I do want to know, which I will be checking out, so don't worry about it. I'll probably be doing both faction videos because I know a lot of people recommend the later one because it does fix some misinformation from Bricky, of course. It you know, corrects some of the misinformation from the original videos, but I do want to check out the intro video first to get a kind of a grasp for it, and then fully understand it later on. We're gonna do more of Luetin's videos as well because he has a lot of lore. He has a lot of Space Marine lore. He has a lot of Space Marine lore, or just Warhammer in general, different events that happened, and this is awesome. Again, I will leave in the original video in the description below. You can check it out. A lot of you guys probably have checked out the original video because again, I'm new to this world entirely, but this is fantastic. Holy shit, they went in depth with it. I love that too. Damn. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.